I'm Penn State senior Melanie Collins at the Business Building on Penn State's University Park campus, the home of the Smeal College of Business. Coming up on Penn State Universe, we'll take a look at how Penn State professors are preparing their students for the real world by doing, not watching.
For the public, our goal as professors is to have a discourse with everyone, because we really do believe it's important. We really do believe it matters to real people.
And in a real patient, I'm there to make sure that they don't pick the wrong answer and they don't actually institute it. But in the sim lab, I can just stand back and watch. I don't have to sort of stop them and get in the way of their learning process.
Yes, he is.
I think Einstein said it well. He said the only source of knowledge is experience. We do a very good job of giving our students a foundation in the fundamentals.
Pretty much every college education finds students in the classroom complete with lectures, tests, and papers. But at Penn State, an important part of a well-rounded education is real-world experience. Penn State's full of opportunities for students to apply their skills outside the classroom. And in this episode of Penn State Universe, we'll take you on a tour of some Penn State studies where the students learn hands-on.
Sand! Sand! We've discovered sand! Oysters! The broad story in the West, very broad, is it was squeezed and raised and then it fell apart.
Do the twist.
Every high spot shall be made low.
See, so this is way cool. This rock fell off, this rock fell off, this rock fell off. Sridhar and I teach a class at Penn State that reaches about 700 students per year. We're working to build an online version of our course. To do that, we have this wonderful group of students who are traveling around the West with us, learning filmmaking. They will put together materials that then go online so the thousands of students will be able to share in what this small group of students has done. We gotta understand the world if we're gonna get along with it. And understanding the world is climate and its living things and ecosystems and its water and its oceans and its ice and its geology. We have taken the really great pieces of geology and set them aside for us to enjoy and us to study.
Yeah, I think so.
For the public, our goal as professors is to have a discourse with everyone, because we really do believe it's important. We really do believe it matters to real people. And it's why this whole thing is so exciting and so cool to be here in the parks. Big processes in geology are physics, chemistry, and biology acting over deep time.
Deep time is this notion of the Earth being billions of years old.
All these different canyons we've seen have been carved by rivers, and they've been carved at rates that are remarkably low. A sheet of paper a year and a few million years, and you have a canyon.
It is an extraordinary notion that water and wind can modify a landscape like this, and the only way you can believe it is if you believe that the Earth is billions of years old. Charles Darwin came along and he came up with this wonderful, elegant theory called evolution. And his theory needed time. And the geologists are the ones that came along and said, you got all the time in the world because the Earth is old. Your theory can work because we got all the time in the world for you. And it's recorded in the rocks.
Notice sand by itself doesn't stick together at all. It's very loose and it bounces around and it's very easy to blow. And I just made a little sand dune. You'll notice that I eroded on this side and I deposited on this side. That's a conglomerate, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Look at that, Dave. That's the conglomerate we were looking for. That's beautiful.
Before the hoodoos formed, it was one solid rock layer. And when rain came from above, it just bounced off the hard layers. Then fractures formed, and they separated just a little.
The rivers are curving through the red. Oh, I'm out of tune altogether. Sorry, hang on a minute. This is an old fiddle tune called Red Wing. It exists in a whole bunch of different forms over the years, including a song by Woody Guthrie, who set words to it that are completely different, but it's got a catchy tune. Salt will surely flow or falls down far below to break the fin, so rain begins to sculpt the arching show. On Mesa Verde's crown, caves ring it all around. Ancestral Pueblo people live till dryness force them down. And the rivers are carving through the red rocks, where history walks, where deeper time talks, carving ever deeper through the red rocks. May they keep carving forevermore. May they keep carving forevermore.
This is spectacular. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my God. Oh my God, look at that.
We sat there last night in the Green River overlook and watched the sunset over the green and Canyonlands, and it was just breathtaking. And I've occasionally heard this bizarre fiction that somehow being interested in this, understanding this, knowing the research of it and the depth of it, takes away the beauty, and all you see is a subject for experimentation, and it was gloriously beautiful. I do love what I do. I do love geology, and I'm not sure why. It's beautiful. The patterns are sweet. I like what I see. I like getting under the skin of the earth and understanding why it is where it is. I believe it's useful. I believe that we're doing things that will help people. I know we're doing things that are fun.
Started on our tour of Penn State hands-on, and when we come back, we'll take a look at some medical students who are using new technology to perfect their practice without putting patients in harm's way, and some engineering students who are applying their classroom skills to real-world corporate challenges.
In a real patient, I'm there to make sure that they don't pick the wrong answer and they don't actually institute it. But in the sim lab, I can just stand back and watch. I don't have to sort of stop them and get in the way of their learning process.
Yes, he is.
I think Einstein said it well. He said the only source of knowledge is experience. We do a very good job of giving our students a foundation in the fundamentals.
Welcome back to Penn State Universe. I'm Penn State senior Melanie Collins, and we're looking at a few of the many ways Penn State students get to apply what they learn in real-life situations. Right now, we're headed to Penn State's Hershey Medical Center. Now, the last words anyone wants to hear a doctor say when going in for a medical procedure are, "This is my first time." Thankfully, at Hershey, practice can make perfect without putting any patients at risk.
All you're going to do, don't worry, it's just plastic, you can't hurt it. You want to be able to look at the screen and go through the patient's nose and try to get where you can see the screen if possible.
Dr. Elizabeth Sins is an anesthesiologist at the Milton S. Hershey Medical Center and director of the Simulation Development and Cognitive Science Lab, SimLab for short.
And he's starting to get through the nose and he's getting to the back of the throat here. And again, it looks pretty much like this would look.
Hershey Medical Center is one of the early adopters of simulation technology, which has been in development for the past 20 to 30 years. To date, Penn State's College of Medicine has invested more than $1.5 million in the hands-on technology. And as Dr. Sins explained to a tour group of new Penn State faculty, it's money well spent.
So we let the students come in here and we let them make as many mistakes as they want to, and we let them see what happens when they make mistakes. Okay, now you're running into the problem that happens a lot of times is you get not such a good view and you kind of lose track of where you are.
The terms medical and practice often go hand in hand, and until recently, student doctors learned as they went along, practicing on patients who paid for that care. Today's full-body simulators allow students and even experienced physicians who may be learning a new procedure to build their skills and confidence without adversely affecting anyone. Well, not anyone human.
I can stand here and do this with him all day, and there's no patient with getting a nosebleed or screaming that, you know, are you finished yet? And he's come on through. So he's doing a great job.
Studies have shown that people who practice on these devices until they're good at it, which might take 5 or 10 or even 50 tries, have much better encounters with real patients.
They're sort of similar to the really advanced computer games. Instead of a game, however, you have a simulator that'll show you how to do bronchoscopy or laparoscopic surgery. Those devices have progressed to the point where it actually feels very similar to how it would feel if you were actually doing surgery on a patient.
And like a video game, the medical scenarios become more challenging as students master new skills. The simulator even keeps score.
We routinely have either medical students or residents come in and we'll give them a scenario and then we'll let them go down the pathway to figure out what is the problem and then how to treat it. And sometimes they get it wrong and we let them get it wrong and see what happens. You can't do that in a real patient. In a real patient, I'm there to make sure that they don't pick the wrong answer and they don't actually institute it. But in the sim lab, I can just stand back and watch. I don't have to sort of stop them and get in the way of their learning process.
Yes, he is. He forgot to put lidocaine in, and now the patient is coughing. And this is, we usually try to, that's okay. It was my fault. I led you to. So he went into the trachea, and if you don't have any local anesthetic on there, you're going to cough. That's the normal response, right?
The lab strives for as much realism as possible. The chest rises and falls. There are lung sounds, and some models even have voice capability so the patient can respond to questions. Palpable pulses change or stop based on the injury or condition. The pupils even react to changes in light or to brain damage.
Say one of the pupils gets big and the other one stays small, that could indicate that something really bad is going on in your brain. So we can very quietly take our little computer, make one of the pupils blow, see if the residents notice that, because that's very important and you don't want to miss that. If they don't notice it, eventually he'll become unconscious, his eyes will close, he'll stop breathing, all kinds of bad things will happen. But if they catch it early, they can treat it. The beautiful thing about our mannequin here is when he dies, if the residents don't save him, we just reboot, start again. So.
Like real patients, the simulators come in all sizes and a variety of ages. And like real patients, they have names. Rocky, the model used in today's demonstration, is a full-sized male. So are Frankie and Stan. Nita is the unit's preemie, and Junior is an adolescent. Even the 2 disembodied heads that are used to practice intubations and tracheotomies have names. Staff call them Larry and Fred.
One of the things people worried about when we started with simulation was that it was going to objectify the patients. You know, it was going to make our students think that they were taking care of plastic people instead of real people. And once you leave the lab, you're really taking care of real people, and you don't want to ever forget that.
Advocates of this technology are increasingly convinced that first attempts at a procedure should not be done on patients. And although no completed studies exist to prove this yet, Dr. Sins is convinced that the simulators save lives.
keeping patients safe, giving the students a safe place to learn, that's what this is all about.
Just like medical students, aspiring engineers need a place to practice the ideas they learn in the classroom. In the last stop on our tour of Hands-On at Penn State, we'll visit a classroom where the problems the students face are as real as the corporations that benefit from their work.
I think Einstein said it well. He said the only source of knowledge is experience. We do a very good job of giving our students a foundation in the fundamentals.
Welcome back to Penn State Universe. I'm Penn State senior Melanie Collins. An important part of being a college student is gaining real-world experience before graduation. And in the final leg of our tour of Hands-On at Penn State, we'll see how Penn State's College of Engineering has partnered with small businesses to get students the corporate experience they need right in the classroom.
Located in a modest brick building on Penn State's West Campus is the Learning Factory. Founded in 1997 with a grant from the National Science Foundation, it's a hands-on laboratory where students gain practical experience in engineering.
We're actually making a recumbent bike, and recumbent bikes come 2 different ways. It's really about like hands-on. I mean, you're learning a different way. Once you have experience, that's the best way to figure things out.
It's a water jet. It just uses sand and puts it into the water at high pressures and then cuts through pretty much any material you want. This is acrylic plastic, and I'm just going to cut a gear out so that I can have a gear reduction on a pump that I'm making.
I think Einstein said it well. He said the only source of knowledge is experience. We do a very good job of giving our students a foundation in the fundamentals, the equations, the theories, but it's the wisdom, the judgment, the common sense that they have to develop, and you only do that by your own personal experience.
This is just a manual braking mechanism for a wind turbine that we're building right now. It's the first time that a lot of us have had the opportunity to use our engineering principles.
Hands-on experience is important, but the motivation for the Learning Factory design teams is tackling the real-world problems of small business and industry.
Our project is sponsored by WLG Manufacturing. It's a small company that's trying to gain capital to produce freezer systems for elderly and handicapped individuals.
They learn how to manage a project, and they learn how to work with the project manager or their sponsor who's expecting them to act professionally. So they have to communicate, they have to keep records, and they have to produce what they and the sponsor have jointly agreed upon.
Our industrial client comes to State College weekly to meet with our group. He offers a lot of input, but he allows us to design creatively and uses our expertise that we've learned here at Penn State.
The semester ends with a showcase, a major exposition for the entire College of Engineering. 30 to 40 teams from the Learning Factory present their projects and compete for Lockheed Martin Design Excellence Awards.
My senior design project was working with tippet line. Tippet line is used in fly fishing. What we needed to make here was a tippet tester to verify that what they print on the package is actually true and see that, you know, our results can hold up. So we designed here a tester that can test that line.
The bike was a little heavier than we thought it was going to be, so it kept our speed down. But other than that, it worked perfectly, cornered, no problem. It's an excellent way to learn because you actually get to see a finished product. You get to feel what it feels like, you know, to not have to steer because it's towed in and the bike's going to go straight no matter what you do.
This is a prototype of the Simplicity Freezer. It's intended for handicapped and elderly use to be able to access a chest freezer more readily. And basically all you would do is simply touch a button, and then as soon as a unit is selected, the baskets begin to reorient themselves, looking for that particular item. When it's in the proper position, the trays will stop, pause for a second, the actuator will eject the tray and flip the door down, allowing for the item to be selected.
So you leaked it out?
Yep, exactly.
And then how did this work?
It's for a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, and instead of using compressed hydrogen gas or super cool liquid hydrogen, we use a carrier fluid, which is super saturated with hydrogen. So all we did was show how it can be used to refuel and operate within a car.
All right, I have the awards for the senior design projects, capstone design. Okay, we have 2 first place awards. The first place goes to Formula SAE Data Acquisition System. And the other first place is the WLG Manufacturing Simplicity Freezer. Adam Giroux, Mike Nutterange, Devin Keller, Justin Schaefer.
But it's not just student teams winning awards. This year, John Lamancusa was chosen by the National Academy of Engineering to share the 2006 Bernard M. Gordon Prize, an award that recognizes innovation in engineering and technology education.
The Gordon Prize is giving us some visibility that we'll be able to translate, I hope, into a new facility, an enlarged version of the Learning Factory. So if you come back in 2 or 3 years, hopefully you'll see something about twice the size of that. So we'll be able to teach twice as many students and give them twice as good of an experience.
I think the Learning Factory is an excellent teaching tool for the students. I think it's an excellent resource for especially small and medium-sized companies who may not have large engineering departments. They can link those small companies up with the Learning Factory, and it's really a win-win situation for the small company and for the Learning Factory.
Well, thank you for joining us. Keep an eye out for us again, because anything can happen in the Penn State universe, from the performing arts to major scientific breakthroughs and everything between and beyond. That's it for now. I'm Melanie Collins at the Business Building on Penn State's University Park campus. See you next time on Penn State Universe.
A copy of the program you've just seen can be purchased through Penn State Media Sales at mediasales.psu.edu or by calling 800-770-2111.